Hello from Cerritos, California. Brenda and I are just kind of bumming around today. We're not doing anything noteworthy or spectacular. We're just kind of walking around this little complex here in Cerritos. I actually go to a donut shop that's in this complex. There's a little donut shop over in the corner called Donuts, and I've been going there for years. And that's like my little hangout. That's my little cheers where I go and everyone knows my name, and I'm really good friends with the owner, and I've been coming here for years, and I know several of the previous owners. So I come here pretty much every morning for coffee and just to kind of BS a little bit with some of the local folk. And if Brenda's with me, I normally just take her out for a little walk afterwards. And so I just figured we'd walk around and shoot a little video of the marketplace, mainly because this marketplace is not going to be here for much longer. All of these businesses that you see here, several of them have already relocated, but all of these businesses are going to have to relocate more than likely sometime this year in 2025, because the city of Cerritos has plans to build some type of a housing community here. It's either going to be a mixed use housing where they're going to have like a combination apartments and businesses, or it's just going to be an entire apartment complex. And whether or not it's going to be market rate or low income housing, I don't believe that's been determined yet, but the end result is that all of these current businesses are not going to be here for much longer, and that's kind of sad. I'm going to miss my donut shop, and obviously, everyone else is going to miss all the other businesses that go out. But I just figured I'd do a little walkthrough video that way to kind of memorialize this place for when it's no longer here. This cosmetic and surgery location, this went out a long time ago. They relocated, and there's a physical therapy office back here. There used to be a Korean restaurant. It's called Sister's Korean Restaurant. They relocated several months ago, so they're no longer here. There's a Peking restaurant over here in the corner, and they're still there. They were one of the original businesses here, so they're still holding on. And there's a really popular Korean barbecue restaurant back here called Red Palace. They're still here, but there was a dentist office back in the corner that left last year. There are a couple other places that were there that are no longer there. So it's getting there. It won't be long until this whole place is pretty much, redeveloped. But it's always packed nonetheless. You come here on the weekends and this parking lot is jam packed. And most of these people are going to the Korean barbecue restaurant over there, Red Palace. Red Palace does amazing business. That's a little cash cow. And then there's a little roaster's coffee shop over there in the corner that does fairly decently as well. But we'll just kind of walk over in this direction. Okay, and this is the Oodles for kids. This is where kids go to have their birthday parties, and they have fun events. And I believe they also offer tutoring here. So this is a pretty popular location. Actually, when I was growing up and when I was a kid, this used to be a Straw Hat Pizza. Way back, like when I was in high school, and even shortly thereafter, this was a Straw Hat. But then it closed down for several years. It was a vacant building, and then it turned into a Oodles. And then over in the corner, you have what used to be Carol's Restaurant. And Carol's closed down back in, I believe, June of 2023. The whole company, Carol's itself, went out of business. But this particular restaurant closed way back in 2023. We're just going to walk over here, give you a closer look at Carol's. And for some reason, they leave the lights on. Ever since this place closed down in June of 2023, the lights have been running 24/7. They leave the lights on. And it's kind of weird because in the evening, when the sun goes down in the evening or at nighttime, the inside lights really stand out. And a lot of people that aren't familiar with the restaurant having closed inevitably show up thinking that it's still a functioning restaurant, so then you oftentimes see people pulling up and parking, and then they get out of their vehicles and they walk to the front door, and it's like, whoops, that's when they realize that it's no longer up and running. Okay, just to give you a better idea of where we're located, this is Bloomfield Avenue. We're basically on the corner of Bloomfield and South Street. And if you go north here on Bloomfield Avenue, that'll take you right up by the Cerritos Library, and also up near Cerritos High School. And then the Cerritos Town Center would be just off of Bloomfield, just a little over a half mile north of here. So just to give you an idea. Okay, and when I was a kid growing up, this used to be a Bob's Big Boy. And they used to have the little Bob's Big Boy statue right out here in front. And it was a pretty popular location. I remember coming here often as a kid. And Bob's Big Boy eventually closed down, and then eventually it turned into a Caro's, but now it's just an empty building. And like I mentioned, they have the lights running 24/7. The lights have been running continuously for the last year and a half. And as you can see, they still have the seating and the seats in there and the flooring. You know, it still looks pretty much the way it did when it was up and running. They've just shuttered the outside. So no more Caro's, but this was a hopping in place back when it was up and running, especially on the weekends. You'd come here Saturday and Sundays and this place would be jumping. Right, girl? But it's not jumping anymore, huh? Okay, we're gonna hook a corner heading down South Street now on the north side of this complex, and I'll just give you a quick little shot of my friend's donut shop. It's called Donuts. So if you're ever in the mood for a nice cinnamon roll or a nice hot apple fritter or a nice buttermilk bar, head on over to Donuts while they're still there. It never fails. Every time I try and shoot video, she somehow manages to find a stick, no matter where we are. Okay, there's a little close-up shot to my friend's donut shop, and there's a Baskin Robbins right next door. The Baskin Robbins is still up and running, and they do quite a bit of business. And my friend's donut shop, believe it or not, they were one of the first establishments to sell a $1 million lottery scratch-off ticket back in 2011 when they had the new lottery game. They came out with a new lottery ticket that was a $10 lottery ticket. And I believe this was one of the first establishments where someone scratched off a $1 million ticket. And the guy who scratched it off was a local citizen here. He lives locally, and the guy still comes in. And he was pretty well off even before he scratched the $1 million ticket, so good for him. But I still see him in there, and they still have his little plaque on the wall commemorating his $1 million scratch off. Okay, well, that's about it. I mean, we're on the far side of the complex. It's my friend's shop again in the Baskin Robbins, and there's a tutoring spot here, Elite Tutoring. They're still up and running, and there's a little medical office that's still here on the corner. So, you know, it's still quite a few businesses here up and running, but again, this is pretty much going to be the last year, so it's going to be sayonara pretty soon.